Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Parr. I am the president and co-founder of Octane AI, and Octane AI is the buyer profile platform for e-commerce. I will go much more deeper into it, but we're best known for powering a set of like e-commerce quizzes, on-site quizzes, Facebook Messenger, and some SMS marketing for thousands and thousands of e-commerce brands. And so, what I'm going to talk about is kind of like a core topic to me, which is understanding the central buyer profile. So I'm going to stop actually sharing my screen to reshare because I'm going to do a new share right here. Look at all the technology I have in the outdoors, y'all. So if you have questions as I'm giving my presentation, please just drop them in the chat. Joshua would let me know about the presentations. I will go and try to go and see everything. I just want to hear what I want to like answer the questions that are burning for you. Cool. So kind of to give an introduction into like my topic and talking about the importance of personalization in the buyer profile. So over the last like whenever even just retail has started, there's this critical component to retail and that hasn't really been in e-commerce, and it's this in-person personalization, this concierge experience, having a person who actually will help guide your experience, show you what you're looking for, make recommendations. It's this associate at the VIP, the VIP concierge. It humanizes the element. It makes recommendations, right? Really important to retail, but most of us are not doing retail. Your customers are not doing retail right now. They are who knows where, right? They are trying to go and figure out what to buy. They're having trouble figuring that out. They are looking for something, but they're basically browsing a warehouse. When you're going to your store, they're landing and they're like, there's 80,000 products, or even there's 8 products. I don't know what to choose. Someone needs to tell me what to do. Or even if you have one product, someone needs to pitch me on like, why is this personally right for me? And so it results in people dropping off the page, having a 1% or less conversion rate, having upset customers. And especially given that this year is different because a lot of people have done e-commerce for the first time this year, and they are used to this retail experience of the concierge, and it's not here now for them in person. And so what we're going to do is solve that. I'm going to teach you how to solve that. So I'm going to talk more in depth about why personalization matters, what the buyer profile is, why I talk about it so much, shop quizzes and how you utilize those to build buyer profiles, and finally, like how you could utilize that data to build a more humanized, more personal, more powerful shopping experience. Cool. Who's ready? Let's go do a thing. So quick intercedence on Octane AI. We are the all-in-one platform and primarily for on-site quizzes for thousands of e-commerce brands. But Facebook Messenger is where we started, and we power that for thousands of brands as well, the most advanced messenger platform around. And we do some SMS marketing and some other things as well, allowing you to do stuff at advanced scale. And more importantly, taking the data you learn from things like quizzes and from your Shopify customers to personalize your Messenger and SMS, and then even connect it to your email platform and your other platforms to build a more personalized, more human shopping experience that also just happens to convert a lot better. And we just recently raised a new round of funding that we announced. If you go to Forbes, you can read this crazy article about how we've nearly died twice and we have not died since. And now we're like growing rapidly and have like nearly 40 people plus, and we're adding people like basically every week. So that was enough on me on it. I used to be the editor of Mashable before I did Octane AI, by the way. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about why personalization matters. So I think everyone understands this graph, which is e-commerce has grown significantly by more than like double this year. And it's a permanent shift. And so I had to explain this to a CPG, which was like last week on a call, which was, this is not some temporary thing. This is not some new trend. This was always the trend. The only thing the pandemic did was accelerate this trend towards happening faster. And so for a permanent basis, retail spending is going to be more and more e-commerce, and it's going to get past halfway in the near future, right? And again, they have been shopping and getting recommendations in the store, but they haven't been getting it in your online store. And so every customer has a need, a preference, a concern, a personality. They're trying to figure out like, I'm looking for something very specific. I have a very specific body type. No two people are the same. So why is the website? Why is messaging? Why are emails? Why are email blasts? Why is anything the same for each person? They shouldn't be. So this is, again, in retail where the in-store concierge comes in, but you need to build that experience for your customers. And the answer to that is by utilizing personalization. I'm not going to go over all these stats. I'm happy if you want to email me, ben@octaneai.com, or if you want to go and at reply us, we'll send you the presentation so that you can kind of go more in depth. And I know Rewind will do the same thing too. But, you know, you look at all the stats. I'll move my head so you can even see this last stat. You're like, what's this last stat, Ben? But you can kind of just see, like every stat shows, if you do personalization, not only are your customers happier, but they spend more money. What a win-win. It's not that often where you can do something where it is really just better for your customer and better for you. And that's what we've been trying to do with all the time with the technologies we've built at Octane AI, right? And so here's what that personalization customer journey looks like. I'm going to move my head one more time. In fact, I'm going to go and get some shoulders this time. Isn't that cool? So the personalization customer journey is a circle in the sense that what it's doing is, as an example up here, you're collecting information through a quiz, and then you're using that information to personalize an ad so that it'll retarget better, and then send more personalized discounts or abandoned cart messages, more personalized pop-ups, collect the info, and like do this whole circle again. So instead of sending the same email to 50,000 people, you can send a much more targeted set. You know, if you know someone's 18 and has oily skin, and you know someone is in their 30s and has dry skin, they should be getting different content, different recommendations, if you want to have like the best conversion rate and the best experience possible without losing the customer. So how do you do this? The answer is to build the buyer profile. And so the buyer profile is the sum of the buying information that you have on each customer. This is a little bit different than the buyer persona, which you may have heard of. To kind of give the quickest way to define, the buyer persona is the group of customers and what they are. So like 18 and oily is a buyer persona. That's the buyer persona. The buyer profile is the individual information, like purchase history, other information on each customer that you're utilizing to do personalization. And so the elements of the buyer profile, I consider 4 key elements to this. One is customer data. So this is like age, gender, location, allergies, skin color, diet. Depending on the type of product that you are selling, different kinds of customer data and demographic data are going to be really important to your sales pitch. Purchase data, this is things that you might be pulling from your Shopify or from your BigCommerce or wherever. Past purchases, your average order value, the frequency of purchase, helps you decide if they're a high purchase spender or not. Preference data, color preferences, product preferences, what colors they're looking for. And then most important and the hardest to collect, intent data. You want to understand what intent they have in terms of what they're looking for and what they're shopping for. This is what made Google so huge, right? And this is what Amazon and Netflix are using to recommend stuff to people. But every store should have access to that technology. And that's like one of the guiding principles for us. So you can go and do it. And by the way, Zach, thank you so much for saying super awesome things. I'm glad to see you in here. Zach's quiz over at their Bariatric Fusion, we've just put out a case study. They collect 16 times more emails than they did before launching the quiz. That's another benefit of doing quizzes to help collect this buyer profile information. You also just happen to collect a lot more opt-ins and contact info, and we'll get into that more in a second. Feel free to post your questions. I'm looking at the comments. Definitely let me know what you want to learn. All right, so what can you do with an accurate buyer profile? Now you kind of have a little bit of an idea. One, it's targeting these profitable segments for future sales. So again, instead of like a blast, it's targeted Messenger, SMS, and email conversations that just convert more and spam people less. The second one is making more informed decisions on which products to feature and which things to do. And so we actually put out a 400-page playbook. It's octaneai.com/playbook. I'll even type it into the chat a little bit. And it has all this detail in terms of everything you could possibly do. I don't necessarily recommend running front to back, but if you want just the step-by-step for setting up a quiz and for optimizing it, it's all in there. But one example of like optimizing a decision, we had one customer where they learned that one of their segments has spent 78% more money than any of their other segments, which was a crazy number. And they didn't realize that this segment was actually really looking for products. It was beauty bio. There was a case study about it. And the result is they actually were able to hone in on their marketing and realizing that like this one customer segment was really, really engaged. Another example, and you'll see this quiz in a second, Doe Lashes. They found out that a lot of their customers were first time buyers of lashes, and they didn't expect that, and that helped create a whole education series and play in like an email in particular, and like helped them a lot with like connecting with customers. And then so there's like these insights that you don't know because you're not collecting the information or not collecting enough of the information that could just dramatically change the trajectory of your business in a way that I can't even quantify. The last piece here, create precise campaigns that target each profile with personalized messaging. This is where it gets super personalized per person, which is what it should be, in the same way a conversation is super personalized. A VIP person over at a luxury store is not going to have the same conversation with each person. You shouldn't be having the same conversation with each person either. So let's talk about how you build this information. Let's talk about shop quizzes. Cool. So this here is the shop quiz. I'm going to actually show you kind of like what it looks like. So in this example, in this quick video, you can see kind of an example from Rooted. So heyrooted.com, you can go and try their quiz. You can see that they're asking for contact info, and then they're asking for email, and a large number of people opt in for their quiz. And they use this information to, send email segments and campaigns. And you can see the cool animations. And now, they're asking, do you have kids? And they're like, yes or no. And they're even asking questions about like, low light, high light, where do you want to put plants? This information helps them a ton with recommending products and helps the customer actually get to the right product recommendation, because I truthfully don't know what plants I want to go buy. I just know there's a lot of plants. And so as a result, if they tell me like, okay, I travel a lot, I need plants that don't need a ton of water, I have some places to put sunlight, here's my recommendation as a result. You can kind of see where it's going here and how powerful this can be for your customers. Not just that, but you could recommend entire bundles. We have some customers where they recommend bundles like Bariatric Fusion. You have a whole set of bundles. I'm looking for a routine, a fitness routine, a skincare routine, a supplement routine. This is how you do it. So the shop quizzes connect customers with advanced and advice and recommendations and give them in general guidance, right? So you can kind of see like it helps you discover the needs of your customers. And then in the same way, an in-store concierge would help your customers. This is what the quiz is. It is the online version of the concierge. And then these quizzes identify the customer's buyer profile and match them with the right products. So this is an example of what the results page looks like on the back end. You can make these results. You can have sets of conditions for which results pages appear. You can say like, this one will appear if they're 18 and have oily skin and have these other conditions. And that helps you segment your customers and say like, this is the segment of customers who have this kind of pain. This is the segment of customers who have this kind of pain. It's all dependent upon like what you are trying to do. So here's a couple of examples you can kind of see as one example. Skinny mixes. You can go and find recipes. They recommend recipes rather than direct products. And then you can go buy the products after you get the recipe recommendations. And so if you wanted to have low-calorie mixers and you wanted to have a couple of drinks for your margaritas or for your coffee, that's what they're there for. The quiz really helps customers connect with like what kind of thing they're looking for. This was Doe Lashes, which I mentioned before. They have like these style lashes where it's like different kinds of eyelids and trying to recommend the right lashes. And it's really important for a first-time customer who has no clue what to do with lashes. And you'd be shocked, especially this year, how many times it's a first-time customer of you, not just your product, but maybe even your entire category. And so you can kind of see these like personalized product recommendations. Look, there's Bariatric Fusion. And you can kind of see just like what those personalized recommendations can look like and how different those sites can look and feel, and the results can be. Lots of customization can be done. And I talked a little bit about the like case study things. This is like why quizzes are so powerful. Really being able to drive an increase in AOV, really able to drive an increase in conversions. Because most conversion rates on sites are somewhere between 1% and 2% for most e-commerce brands. So those with quizzes can be 7%, 10%, 15%. Even just like going to 2 to 3% is already double or triple what you're doing already and can have a dramatic impact on your business. And there's the bariatric fusion case study. I love you, Zach. And look at just like that conversion rate. It really does have a real impact on the business while being good for the customer. And I really want to emphasize that because I really feel strongly that you need to treat your customer right and have a good experience that is actually helpful to them. Otherwise, they're going to eventually want to go away and not be happy. And that's one thing that really excites me about not just quizzes, but like all of this personalization in general. It's better for the customer in the end. It's what they're looking for. It's a better experience. It makes them happier. And that, again, makes for that in-person concierge experience. You can even use Facebook Messenger to do some of this. This is how we originally got the idea. I also just wanted an excuse to use one of our customers, Marco Barco, for their like pictures, of course. But you can see where they're asking like different kinds of questions in Messenger. And you can actually build these quizzes in Messenger. But that was where the inspiration for the Shoppable quiz came from for the site. Because a lot of our customers are like, I'm building this in Messenger because I literally don't have all the money in the world to go do this, do a custom build. And even a custom build won't be integrated with whether it's a Klaviyo or whether it's a Recharge or it won't have like the advanced logic to do these things. And so we built something for them to do that didn't rely on and had like the full design capabilities. Cool. We've talked a lot about the quizzes and how they build the buyer profile and like the buyer profile. Now let's connect the two. How do you build a buyer profile with shop quizzes? This is where it gets really, really fun, y'all. So you use the shoppable quizzes to go and build the buyer profile because what you're really asking is the questions you need to build the buyer profile. Like what kind of, like if it's running, for example, you're learning what kind of athlete they are, what kind of clothes they're looking for, maybe size, things that you actually need to recommend products. Because wouldn't it be great the next time a customer comes over and you, instead of you having to like, them have to guess what size, the emails they got were just like, we know you're large. Here's like the size for like the largest. And we know you're shopping for your friend. So here's the smalls for your friend. And so these was like what these results pages that you get from taking a quiz represent the buyer profiles and are the correlation. So a customer takes a quiz, it results in a results page, which is the buyer profile. There's a set of analytics and information that will tell you which, questions the customers engage with, what results are most common. And then you can utilize that data to do personalization. As one example, we have an integration with the Facebook Pixel where, if you even asked one question, like what kind of skin do you have? And then they dropped off and they never gave you any other contact info, you still have enough information to personalize the ads because of the Pixel. And now you could do ads based on their dry skin, their oily skin, and have a higher conversion rate because you at least know some key information for your retargeting, which is already a major win. Even just answering one question without collecting any contact info already has an impact on your business. And that's what building a buyer profile does for you. And you need to be doing this now because over time, there's going to be more products, more things that are going to be able to be more personalized based on this information. But if you don't collect this information now, you can't do that personalization. You'll be behind. So ask these clearly defined questions, create the rules in your quizzes, and then make these recommendations, help your customer, and store this data. And that's kind of like how you build the buyer profile with quizzes and how you start building the buyer profile that's going to really help you. So let's talk about buyer profile personalization. And so, this is kind of like the next level step. You've done a quiz, it's printing you money, you're building a buyer profile. Now let's actually do some real personalization based on that information. And so I'm going to just give you a couple of examples of this. And so this is what the master system kind of looks like, where you could personalize across these different channels. Again, you take this information from a quiz, you can make a more personalized Facebook ad. You take this information, you could do a more personalized email segment in a OmniSend, a Klaviyo, what have you. You take this information, and Octane AI has Messenger and SMS built in, and so you can do personalized messages, follow-ups, instead of sending, again, one Facebook message for everybody. Maybe it's 4 segments for 4 customer groups. You've already done significantly better for your customers by doing this level of personalization for the broadcast you send and the abandoned cart messages you send. And so leveraging the buyer profile is collecting the data and then collecting some kind of contact info. Quizzes are really powerful ways to do that, but obviously other tools to do it, like opt-ins and pop-ups, whether you're using Octane AI or you're using a Privia, Justuno, a Klaviyo, whatever system you might be using. And then you're using that data and saving it for retargeting and retargeting against these channels. This is where like you really get into leveraging that buyer profile. So email, SMS, Messenger, you can personalize your omni-channel to increase the average value kind of like of your customers, right? I'm going to do this just because I think it's fun. Isn't that fun? So I've kind of already talked in depth about how you can do this with email, Messenger, and SMS. You build a list and then you customize and you segment against that list, these buyer profiles you built as based on any splicing and dicing of the questions. You wanted to send a message just to people who have dry skin, who are in their 60s, great. You want to just do it for people with dry skin, great as well. Triggered flows is triggering automatic emails or sequences. It's the next level based on this information. You might trigger, for example, a post-purchase education series for those people who've purchased who are first-time buyers of lashes, as an example, or first-time, like, buying supplements. And so you have an education series that helps them with their specific back problem or whatever problem they might have. Sponsored messages is a unique feature of Facebook in particular. You can actually send a targeted message based on the information you get from Facebook. So you can actually send targeted messages based on it's their birthday, it's their anniversary, key life events. If you set up a sponsored message campaign, it costs you maybe a cent or half a cent per open, but it's going to convert really highly if you have it really segmented like that. And that's a key part of the buyer profile too. You collect this information, not just from a quiz, but from Shopify, from Facebook, from other key sources, and you centralize it in something like an Octane. And then lastly, analytics, understanding the customer shopping trends and just getting these insights like Doe Lashes and Beauty Bio did by looking at it. And I actually think this is perhaps the most important way to leverage the buyer profile. It's just learning something about your customers you didn't learn before. That's what separates $1 million business from a $50 million business. It's just like they know something extra about their customers and they utilize that information to do something special, extra, more powerful in a way that others simply do not do. We're almost there, y'all. I want to definitely answer questions. In fact, I will take I see, yes, the playbook. Go and check all those things out. If you have questions, definitely, please let me know. So look, how can you use a list created from a quiz? That's pretty straightforward. Step one, you create this list and then you take it and you personalize based on information. I see that my thing, here we go. So look, as like an example here, I can see it pause. So here's what I'm going to go do. There we go. Resume the share. There we go. We're all good. So you can see targeted sending these targeted notifications, sending these targeted messages. So kind of just like as like an example here, you can have customers subscribe in Messenger to a quiz, and then you can ask them if they want to have like a heads up on a future sale, and then you can send a personalized notification based on this buyer profile data. Or as like yet another example, quiz engagement, you're collecting this information, you create them into specific segments into something like Klaviyo or OmniSend, and then you send targeted messages based on that information. So like you can actually send all those data points, to your ESP and really personalize based on that information. Facebook ads, I think I've covered a ton. How you do that, you collect this key information, you personalize the messages, and then you personalize the ads, and then you either get them to opt in some way, and then you continue the series, or you keep on retargeting until they become a customer. And there's just so many ways you can improve your ads by even just getting one answer to one question using something like a quiz or some piece of buyer profile information. And then finally, driving those insights from analytics. So some final thoughts from me kind of to conclude. So again, what has the buyer profile experience really been for most people? Here, this is what it's been. It's been confusion. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm trying to figure out something. It's not great for the end customer, right? And so, bam, there's the resharing. I love it. This is the customer today, but it doesn't have to be. When you use this buyer profile information to personalize and build a more personal experience, and you're leveraging multiple channels, and you're recommending products and you're replicating some of the things that happen in the store, like the concierge does. They're going to place orders. They're going to be happier. They're going to make a purchase. You're going to make more money, and your customers are going to be happier, and everybody wins. So the Octane AI Shoppable quiz is in private beta. It's coming out of it soon, but octaneai.com/quiz. We'll add you to the list. We'll get you access really quickly. And you can always just email me. You want to get a presentation. You want to go and chat. You're like, I want to go launch 80 things. It's just Ben@octaneai.com.